Let's just see how long this streak lasts at this point.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granato. Steve.
It's Monday, and this is an episode of Locked On Yankees. Thank you for clicking, guys. Thank you so much. Later on in the show, we're going to see if it's wise to admit the season's over. Not from our vantage point, from the team's vantage point. We'll get into that a little bit later. Of course, it's Minors Monday. You guys already know we're going to detail out some incredible. I mean, it was a really, really good week in the Yankees minor league system. As bad as it was in the bigs, it was really the complete opposite of the minors. So we have a lot to talk about today. Stacey, 8 in a row. 8 in a row.
My God.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at. This is the low point, just keeps on falling down.
The low point keeps getting lower and lower. We're almost at the Earth's core at this point. We're past the magma. We're past everything. We're like almost at the core. The last time this happened, guys, was 1995. Everyone keeps bringing up 1995 because it was the last time they were below 500 this late in the season. And now this is the last time that they've lost 8 in a row. That was from August 19th to August 26th, 1995. Fun fact, August 26th, 1995 was my 21st birthday. I was not very happy that night with the Yankees. It was a 13-game road trip, and they went 3-10 with that 8-game streak toward the end of it because they played a 4-game series against Seattle, and they won that last game, and they ended the 8-game streak. But just brutal. I mean, at least that was on the road. This is at home. You're losing a bunch of games at home. That is just bad all around.
Yeah, I mean, the first two, obviously uncompetitive. I mean, Sunday's game, you got to give it to them. They did fight really hard, got a bad call, overturn, whatever you want to call it, at the plate. Like there's a chance to win there, and it just didn't go their way. Here's my question, Stacey, and we're gonna play a little fun with this. Hey, that's what you have to do. You're on an 8-game losing streak. Like, what are you supposed to say, right?
Yeah.
So I think back to 2022 when the Angels lost 14 in a row. Joe Maddon's fired. Phil Nevin takes over, and we've been saying all year, and it seems like all year, that Boone will not be fired no matter what. I'm curious, Stacey. How long do you think the streak would have to go in order for Boone to get fired in season? Because that is an intriguing situation. To be fair, I'm not putting Sunday on him. He threw everything but the kitchen sink, everybody off the bench. He tried everything. Right. So what do you think? What would that streak have to be?
Ooh. Now, when did that streak happen for the Angels? What part of the year was it?
Oh, it was middle of the year. It was like May, started in May, I think.
Because I don't know. I feel like at this point, I don't think they fire him. I think it could be 20 games and they wouldn't fire him. Because what would be the point at this point in the season? Because it's toward the end. If it were earlier in the season, I would think it would be similar to that, like 14, 15. Like if it got to that point, I think they'd probably be like, we got to do something here. Yeah. But at this late in the season, there's no point to it, I don't think. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about what it means later on in the show. But, Stacey, we got to talk about these games. I mean, we always start with this. Clark Schmidt, we were hoping he would bounce back, and he did. He pitched pretty well here on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, 2 runs in 5 2/3, gave up the home run, but whatever. 8 strikeouts. I was impressed with the 8 strikeouts, and I was impressed with the bending, not breaking that was happening in the beginning of the game. And it was just a Clark Schmidt start, 5 2/3, only 2 runs. And I joked in our notes at the beginning, or while the game was happening, while he was taken out, I said victimized by the offense again. And then I think Gleyber hit the game tying home run like a minute after I posted that as a goof. And I was like, oh, all right, well, fine, Gleyber, whatever. but he's doing everything the Yankees ask him to do.
Yep.
He's just
Still.
a steady 5 2/3 innings. He keeps you in the game. You know, it's the offense that's the problem. Not today specifically, because they kicked it into gear later in the game, but
yeah, I mean, that 3-run shot from Volpe was massive. That was massive. That's the second time this series hit a home run like that in a huge spot, which, look, Volpe, I don't think is ever going to be a home run guy in that sense where you're going like, oh, this is the big gun.
yeah.
But that's completely fine. You don't need him to be. You don't need him to be anything that he isn't. But man, I mean, the having this homer, I can't remember exactly the other homer. It was like an 8th inning homer that gave the Yankees the lead a couple months ago at this point.
Oh, that was a while ago. I think I remember
ago.
which one you're talking about. Yeah.
But to have those 2 big hits, he's coming around. He really is. And we've talked about it on a couple of occasions. He's still young. He's still learning. And we're still, not babying him, but, you're still giving it time here as you're supposed to. But that's massive. That's absolutely massive for him. You really hope that the Yankees could come out and win after something like that. But, I mean, this call at the plate, I just can't see how they overturn it. I just don't understand that part.
Don't get me started. Volpe,
No,
17 home runs. And he was almost the hero of the game twice because he tied it. And then he had the hit that Ref Snyder kind of miffed on that caused the play at the plate. So he could have been the hero.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out, which stinks because as soon as that play was overturned, I was like, they're losing this game. There's no way. That was so deflating. It was just the death knell.
Feeling.
Yeah.
Feeling,
I was like,
you just go, come on. Yeah. I had that feeling going into the 9th. I was like, a run's coming in here. It doesn't matter who's pitching. It could be God himself. Like a run is coming in here. I don't know how it doesn't. It just had that feeling.
Yeah.
6-5 final. Had chances against Kenley Jansen there in the bottom of the 9th. He gave him a little leeway, but I mean that's Kenley Jansen, man. He's been there. He's done that. The Saturday 8-1 loss was probably the most bizarre one. That was Cole's worst start in a very, very, very long time. And even still, he didn't even have, I wouldn't say he made that many mistakes. Like the pitch to Luis Urias was not a bad pitch. Like that slider that caught the corner, that was it wasn't where he wanted it. It wasn't where they were setting up, but it was not a bad pitch.
Yeah, that was a weird game. Because you're thinking, Cole's on the mound, okay, he'll calm things down. And in my mind, I was thinking Cole's going to hold them to like 1 or 2 runs, and then the offense isn't going to do anything. And I figured that's how they would lose. I was not expecting Saturday's result the way it came out. I was expecting a loss, but I wasn't expecting it to be 8-1. So, yeah. I mean, he was due for a stinker, I guess, like a bad, that was bad.
But it ended up being a bad line, but he worked, man. He was working.
Yeah.
Like, that second inning, he was being worked.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And
then
the
the
Yankees
offense.
had 2 hits. Yeah, just 2 hits. The Judge Solo shot. I mean, he ended up homering on Friday and Saturday, which is great. All well and good. Yankees fall 8-3. Jhony Brito really struggled there on Friday. The 3-run shot by Yoshida. 9 hits, 7 runs. A 4-run first, a 3-run second. Like that was some of the worst we've seen from Brito in a while too.
Yeah, and then Ian Hamilton does what he does.
Yeah.
There's another bright spot, Volpe, Ian Hamilton. They're both pretty big bright spots on this team right now. Hamilton's almost like money when you put him in. It's just like, all right, he's just going to shut the other team down. And 3 2/3 innings, 1 hit, 5 Ks. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, what do you want? Especially in that situation. Comes in and gets the job done. He settles the game back down, which we've seen him do before. Seen a lot of Yankees bullpen arms do that a lot this season, where the game gets out of hand and then they get it back on the tracks. I mean, doesn't matter much most of the time because the offense doesn't come back around for them. But I mean, we've been saying it all year. We've been singing the praises of this bullpen, and here they are. And I know Holmes gave up that run in the 9th on Sunday, but again, overall, what do you want? I guess you could want to win at some point. That's what you could want.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be really great. God, what an awful weekend. I mean, this season has completely gone off the rails. I wasn't expecting it to go off the rails this badly.
Yeah. Well,
I
mean, speaking of, I'm in the middle of a hurricane and my phone just gave me an earthquake alert. So welcome to the West Coast.
Oh, no.
I don't know what's going on, but we're still here. We're still here for you. Let us know how you're feeling about this streak. I want to know what your number is at this point of the season. If the Yankees keep losing, again, this is just the crazy hypothetical world. I don't think this will happen. They're going to win eventually. It's not how anything works. But what would that number need to be, do you think, for Boone to actually be fired? Whether it's his fault or not. I'm just curious. What's the number? I just want to hear. While you're down in this comment section here on YouTube, of course, you can leave your questions for Fan Mail Friday. Reply to that pinned comment down below, and you can join our subtext. There's the episode description has information. One day I'll remember how to say that. On what subtext is and what you get with it. There's a whole bunch of really cool perks. You can help support the show. All right, we're gonna step aside. It's Miners Monday. Let's talk about a massive week in the Yankees farm.
Here at Locked On Yankees, we think buying baseball tickets shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater shows near you. Steve's used Game Time for tickets for this season, and it's been extremely simple. They take all the work out of buying tickets, and all you do is tap a few times and you're in. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to just moments before first pitch. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for other events too, like football, basketball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With their lowest price guarantee and even event cancellation protection, Game Time is the best place to buy tickets in just a matter of seconds. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off, so download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Back now here on Locked On Yankees. Hey, to the everydayers out there, tomorrow, look, there's been some weird traction of this Fire Brian Cashman night. We need to talk about that tomorrow. Is it legit? Is it going to do anything? We're going to discuss that on tomorrow's show, so make sure to hit subscribe. We couldn't fit it in today. It's Miners Monday, Stacey, and I think this is the biggest week the Yankees have had in the minor league system. There has not been a week this year in which I've had to put more on the cutting room floor. So if there is a player or a game that you were like, Steve, how did you not talk about this? Because there's not enough time. That this could be a full 30-minute show today on just the Yankees minor league system. So here's some of the incredible things that were done this week. And we need to talk about Everson Pereira first. The number 3 prospect in the system now, of course, after the new rankings came out not too long ago. Pair of solo shots on Saturday. The Rail Riders in AAA were in Worcester playing the Red Sox. So, of course, they had a lot more success than the Yankees did. How about Everson Pereira against Worcester? And this is just kind of like fun things to keep your eye on, especially if Pereira goes on in the majors and ends up being a Yankee for a while. Like these types of things, you can say you heard it here first. 8 homers in AAA this year for Everson Pereira, 5 of them against the Worcester Red Sox. I see something brewing here about maybe against the Red Sox. Everson Pereira kind of turns into God himself. How about this for Everson Pereira, Stace? Since his call-up on the 4th of July to AAA, he's played 35 games, slash line 312, 386, a 551 slug. He's hit those 8 bombs. He's driven in 33. The strikeouts are a little bit up at 28% on that K rate. That's strikeouts per plate appearances. But Everson Pereira has played really well. Everson's getting called up. He's been a bright spot in that lineup. That top of the order right now for the Rail Riders looks really, really nice. They're starting to swing it pretty well, especially here this week. And we've kind of talked about this before, Stacey, but I wanted to get you in here on this part too. When it comes to September 1st, we talked about what they could do call-up wise. We had a whole episode dedicated to that last week. But when it comes to the young guys that has a lot of people excited, let's forget 40-man stuff. Let's just look at the talent level. When it comes down to it, would you rather have Everson Pereira, Austin Wells, or Oswald Peraza at this point? Because Austin Wells had an incredible Sunday where he drove in 7 with a 3-run shot and a grand slam. He hit 4 home runs this week. Oswald Peraza made a SportsCenter top 10 backhanded play up the middle the other night. Mm-hmm. So when it comes down to it, Stace, if you had to pick your poison, Sophie's choice, Pereira, Wells, or Oswald?
Oh, see, that's tough. I'm still thinking Oswald.
Yeah. I mean, he's the most seasoned.
Yeah. I mean, if I could bring all 3 up, I would, because at this point, the Yankees should just trade places with Scranton and send the Yankees down to send them over to Musick and then send the guys from Musick to the stadium because
it's only a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you just sent like only a couple cars, they only got to cross the bridge like a couple times. So, save a little money.
Yes. Because that bridge is very expensive.
It's like $15 or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Oswald's the choice in that scenario. Pereira fills a bigger hole because he plays left or he can play right. And having, I think it's Peraza, Pereira, Wells in this made-up scenario that I give you.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Because a third catcher.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that? Let us know down below who you would pick. I'm curious. In that Sophie's choice, who's the golden child? As I mentioned, Stacey, jam-packed. That's just AAA. Jam-packed week. How about the Hudson Valley Renegades? One hitter. Threw one hitter the other night. An 8-1 win over Brooklyn. The only hit came with a single in the 5th inning. 1 out in the 5th inning was a single. That's it. Justin Lange. Who's Justin Lange? Justin Lange. Oh, yeah. The Luke Voit trade. Justin Lange, high A debut. 5 2/3. That one hit, a walk, and 8 strikeouts in his high A debut. Not bad. Not bad
at all. Yeah.
Followed by Harrison Cohen, goes an inning and 2/3, gives up the only run, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Cole Ayers, an inning and 2/3, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. A Hudson Valley one-hitter. They went on to win on Sunday as well. They had a good week. It was their first ever series victory over the Brooklyn Cyclones. So just good stuff all around. And I don't know. It's hard to pick.
In Brooklyn too. Yeah.
In Brooklyn. Beautiful ballpark if you've never been. If you're in the New York area.
I've seen it. Never been. They had an Elaine from Seinfeld dance contest on the
They had a
field.
Seinfeld night this week too. And
yeah.
Apparently it was pretty good. So
yeah.
It's hard to pick. Again, this is like picking your favorite child at this point for this week. Again, I had to skip some. But I think maybe my favorite one is Friday night in Somerset. 22-3 final score against the Reading Fightin' Phils on the road. Road. 22 runs, 23 hits. Most in a game in the Yankees AA era, spanning back to at least 2003. That includes the Trenton Thunder. The previous record was 20 runs and 22 hits. They put up 22 runs on 23 hits.
Wow.
Stacey, Jason Dominguez's turnaround since July.
The Yankees can't even do that in a week and a half.
No, they can't. Jason Dominguez goes 4 for 6 in the game, goes deep, scores 4 times, drives in 3, walks, and steals a bag. He has been one of the best hitters in the Eastern League since July.
Yeah.
And it's really impressive how he's been able to turn his season around, because you got to remember, Jason Dominguez in the first half of the season, let's flat out say it, wasn't good. He was not playing well. He was still stealing bags. He was playing pretty decent defense, but his bat has completely turned around. I've talked about it on numerous occasions. I think they stick him and leave him at AA and then start him with the Rail Riders next season. I think that would probably be the wisest decision. Let him finish out the year. Let him keep this confidence and just keep crushing it. Then he can come up to AAA next season. That's probably the best course of action. Because the last thing you want is this turnaround to be him called up and then him struggle at AAA, and that's how he ends the season.
Right. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Just let it ride. Let it ride. Oh, yeah. By the way, Drew Thorpe in that game. 6 2/3, 2 earned, 5 hits, a walk, 12 strikeouts. Those 2 runs scored on a pair of solo shots. Drew Thorpe's second start at AA was almost as good as his first, which was also incredible. But, okay, he struck out 12. And then, I love my unranked guy, Stace. Eduardo Torrealba. Grand slam in the 9th inning. It was his first AA homer. And it was Somerset's 20th hit of the night. They scored 6 runs in the 8th and 6 runs in the 9th. Just completely destroyed Reading. What a night.
Yeah, the Fightin' Phils were fighting for their lives that night.
They were fighting to get out of the ballpark. They're fighting to
yeah.
get to their cars and go home.
Yeah, they were fighting to go home and go to sleep and forget that night ever happened.
Yep. Yeah. Unreal. And again, I can only touch on so many of these guys. There were some nice games down in Tampa this week. There were other good games in AAA, AA. Like it was a week, man. So if you're a Yankee fan out there who is super struggling, I mean, struggling to watch this team, and you just want to watch good baseball that still has something to do with you as a Yankee fan, just flip on some Rail Riders, Patriots, Renegades. Just turn those games on right now, because like they're all good. They're all good right now. We'll see if they can take that into this week. And again, to all those three teams that I mentioned, to do all that on the road.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's really impressive. It's not easy to do. People don't realize that. I mean, some teams are able to win on the road, but that's like all three of them doing that at the same time that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Not just winning, but like wrecking.
Really winning. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So again, why don't you watch the minor league baseball while you still can over the next couple of weeks? And if you have a chance to, head out to Scranton, head out to Somerset, head out to Hudson Valley if you can. Go support those teams and get yourself like a cool hat or a cool shirt, because at this point, they ain't ordering anymore. They're running out of supplies. We're in August, so now's your chance to go head out to some of those games. We're going to step aside one more time here on today's show. When we come back, are the Yankees going to admit the season's over during their 8-game losing streak? Let's discuss. Back here on Locked On Yankees, our final segment. Hey, Stace, like we just had maybe one of the best things that we've had all season on this show, which is the minor system this week.
Yeah.
But now we kind of got to flip it back to Yankee talk, which, hey, that's what we always do here. But
wah, wah.
Wah, wah. The Yankees off on Monday, so the streak will not be
God.
9. Go after that. So, Stacey, I asked you earlier how long this streak has to get for Boone to be fired. Again, hypothetical, super hypothetical.
Right.
But do you think they're gonna? When do you think they're gonna, quote unquote, call it quits?
I don't know. I feel like from the way they've been playing, save for Sunday, because there's a little bit of fight in them on Sunday. But those first 2 games against the Red Sox, it felt like the team was giving up. I mean, maybe the front office and ownership aren't going to say anything yet, but it feels like the team's given up. Boone said that he had a meeting with the team, and it worked so well because they ended up getting swept by the Red Sox after that meeting. Like, it feels like they already gave up. It's just I'm waiting for someone to actually say it in the front office, be like, yeah, okay, let's look to next year, because this isn't happening. But they're the Yankees. They're not going to admit it.
So here's my question for you. As a lifelong Yankee fan, I'm seeing Reddit, Twitter, everyone, which again, maybe you should never take this as full stock, but
right.
It's what we see. It's what we see. And it's in our comments too. So for the people who are watching, I'm curious on your front, because I don't think we've actually had this discussion.
Okay.
What's the benefit of what's become the scapegoat of Aaron Boone coming out in his post-game presser and admitting failure? What's the benefit to the organization of Boone going out there and giving the quote that everybody's waiting to hear? It's over. We're giving up. Like, why?
Well, right. I mean, I don't expect him to say that, but I also don't expect him to keep saying, we've had good at bats. I'm seeing some things from guys when they're losing games 8-3, and I'm not seeing the same things that he's seeing. And I understand he's the manager, so he's going to see things differently. But I feel like it's a little too merry sunshine when things are bad. I don't expect him to come out and say, we effing suck. Don't watch us. We're giving up on everything. I don't expect that from him. I know some people are kind of hoping that he'll have a hissy fit in his post-game comments, and I almost feel like the writers are kind of hoping for that too, and it's not going to happen. So there is really no benefit for him to come out and do that. But it feels like he's going too much to the other side and being too positive when it's clear that something is really wrong with this team. Does that make sense?
To a degree. Here's where I'm coming at. I think you can see the side I'm already on. There's no benefit. I see no benefit. As a manager, it's your job to manage the players. You're not there to manage anything else other than your team. And for the faults he has made, which, hey, every manager is going to make their faults. I've come to the side of Aaron Boone on many occasions this season. I've also criticized Aaron Boone on many occasions this season. So if you're an everydayer, you know that. You know where I'm coming at. But I think at this point in the season, just the way he's managed the players and the media, I think he's done a pretty good job.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't, he's gone out there every night after the game, 8 games in a row, however many in a row, and he's going out there and he's settling down the masses.
True.
As much as he physically can. Because I want everyone, before you start typing comments, Steve, what are you talking about? Hold on. Don't type anything yet. What are you supposed to say? What how do you talk about this? There's no winning, both on the field and off of it. There's no winning on it right now, and there's no winning when he comes to talking to the media for Aaron Boone. So he is not even rocking a hard place. He's 127 hours at this point. He's stuck. And it's not on Boone. Not all of it's on Boone. What are you supposed to do? And that's what I want to know. If you are Aaron Boone, he doesn't get the chance to call people up and send people down and cut people and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your lineup that fixes all this. Give me your pitching decisions that fixes all this. There aren't any. That's where I'm coming from when it comes to all this stuff. It's better if the Yankees admit it internally and just do the things that we've talked about for the last couple of weeks and calling the guys up that they can and DFAing people and doing all that and getting aggressive for 2024. But if you're Aaron Boone, you have no control over that. This is the roster you're given, and you got to manage it how you can.
I think that's what people want them to do more than seeing Boone have a hissy fit. They just want things to be done like what you just said. Just make the moves. Bring some of the kids up because it's over. We all know it's over at this point. There's no coming back from this. There's no turning it around, because I think that's what set some people off, because he was talking about going on a run, doing this, and there's no evidence to show that they're going to do anything like that. This team has been literally mid for the past year and a half. I think they're, 110 and 110, something like that. Or now it's probably 110 and 111, I think is the stat that I saw. Some people are envisioning a Lee Elia meltdown from 40 years ago when he went nuts. It's an infamous rant if you've never heard it. It happened in 1983. It's on YouTube. He went off on the reporters because his team was playing so badly. And I think some people were hoping Boone would do that because they think of Boone like getting fired up when he gets thrown out of games, the savages in the box rant, like all that stuff. And they kind of want to see him freak out in a way that, because fans think that him doing that, not me, but fans tend to think that him doing that is somehow going to fire up the team in a way, which that's not what's going to happen. But I think that's what people want from him. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just,
don't try to make sense of the things that don't make sense, I guess.
Right.
Where you come from it. I don't know. I just, again, like I've criticized him. I've also protected him. He's not enemy number one.
No, it's not his fault. There are some things that are his fault. There are some in-game decisions he's made in the past that are his fault. But the fault is with Cashman and Howe. It all starts with them. It starts with who tells them to spend the money and what they don't do at trade deadlines, what they don't do in the offseason, who they don't sign, who they declined. You know, we could talk about this for hours, but the whole not getting Bryce Harper or not trying for Manny Machado. Manny Machado's like, yeah, no, I didn't even talk to them. Like, no, nothing happened. It's like, great, cool. Okay. You know, they had an opportunity to make this a really good team and piss people off and be the evil Yankees and buy a team in a good way. And they didn't do that. So this is what the result is.
You mentioned
you have Jake Bauers batting cleanup. That's the result.
Yeah. Nicest guy. Like him a lot.
I like Jake Bauers, but
I know what you're saying. Saying.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that this is on Cashman and Howe. And on tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about Brian Cashman, the Fire Cashman night. I feel like the A's fan base really started. It was the first snowflake for the.
They're starting a revolution.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. We're going to talk about it on tomorrow's show, so make sure you hit subscribe and don't miss that. All right, we've ran long today. I'm not going to bore you anymore. We'll talk to you tomorrow. That's going to do it for today's Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and we'll see you tomorrow.